Predi and Prejudice to What if I told you that the story we thought ended perfectly might not actually be over? Because something big is happening around Pride and Prejudice, and it's not just another rumor floating around the internet. There are real signs, real patterns, and honestly, it's starting to feel like a sequel isn't just a dream anymore. And if that's true, then the real question is, what happens after Happily Ever After? Think about it. The last time we saw Elizabeth and Darcy, everything had finally fallen into place. After all the tension, misunderstandings, and quiet longing, they chose each other. But let's be honest, that was just the beginning of their story, not the end. We got barely a glimpse of them as a couple. A few moments, a few smiles, and then it was over. And for years, that has never felt like enough. Now fast forward to today, and something interesting has started to happen. Old classics are coming back. Sequels are being made for movies no one expected. Studios are going back to stories that people already love because they know one thing: audiences don't just want something new, they want something meaningful. And Pride and Prejudice? That's not just a story, it's an emotion. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The recent surge in popularity, the anniversary buzz, the constant discussions online, it all points to one thing. People are not done with this story. In fact, it feels like people are more connected to it now than ever before. And when something like that happens in Hollywood, it usually leads to one thing: a continuation. But if a sequel really happens, what would it even look like? Because let's be real, it can't just repeat the same story. Elizabeth and Darcy's love story has already been told. So the sequel needs something fresh, something that still feels connected, but also moves forward. And the most natural way to do that? Their future. Imagine this. Years have passed. Elizabeth is no longer just the sharp, independent young woman we once knew. She's grown, experienced, and living a life she once only imagined. Darcy, still reserved but deeply devoted, has settled into a life where love is no longer a question, but a constant. And together they've built something. A family. And this is where things get really interesting. Because if the story shifts towards their child, everything changes. Now, we're not just watching a love story. We're watching the next generation deal with love in a completely different world. A world shaped by Elizabeth's strength and Darcy's quiet intensity. Picture a young man, raised with values, intelligence, and a certain emotional depth, but also carrying the pressure of living up to two incredible parents. Or maybe a young woman, fearless like Elizabeth, but struggling in her own way. Either way, the story instantly becomes layered, emotional, and unpredictable. And here's the best part. It doesn't erase the original story. It builds on it. Because while the new generation takes the spotlight, we still get to see Elizabeth and Darcy. Not as people falling in love, but as people who stayed in love. And that's something we rarely get to see. Their conversations, their quiet moments, the way they understand each other without even speaking, that's the kind of depth a sequel could explore. But it doesn't stop there. Think about the other characters. Jane and Bingley, probably still as in love as ever, living a peaceful life that feels almost too perfect. But even perfection can have its own challenges. Maybe they have a child too. Maybe their family becomes closely connected with Elizabeth's, creating bonds that feel natural and heartwarming. And then there's Lydia. Because if there's one storyline that feels unfinished, it's hers. Her relationship was never built on something stable. It was impulsive, chaotic, and honestly fragile. So years later, it wouldn't be surprising if that's a continuation that actually means something. But here comes the biggest question. Is it actually happening? Right now, nothing has been officially confirmed. No green light, no production announcement, at least not yet. But the signs are there. The timing feels right. The interest is strong. And in today's world, that combination is powerful. If things move forward, a realistic timeline would place the release somewhere around late 2027. Enough time to build the story properly, bring the right cast together, and create something that doesn't just rely on nostalgia, but actually delivers. And while we wait, there's still something to hold on to. New adaptations are already in the works. Fresh interpretations of the same story are being created, reminding everyone why this world matters so much. It's like the story is slowly finding its way back into the spotlight step by step, which makes you wonder, maybe this isn't just a coincidence. Maybe this is the beginning of something bigger. Because some stories don't end when the credits roll. They stay with people. They grow, they evolve, and sometimes they come back when you least expect it. And if Pride and Prejudice really does return, it won't just be another sequel. It'll be the continuation we've been waiting for all along.